Afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our latest webinar. Thank you so much for joining us today for our latest Future Flight Career Path Engineering and Future Flight webinars. It's great to see so many of you, and I know there'll be many more joining us, but thank you for joining us on this lovely afternoon. For those of you who may be new to us, Flight Crowd, I am the founder of Flight Crowd. Hello, I'm Maria. But Flight Crowd, we are a UK-based education not-for-profit. We're focusing on informing, engaging, and inspiring young people about all things future flight, ecosystem, about all things emerging technologies, drones, sustainable aviation, you name it. We focus on all of that. But more than anything, we're here to help you, all the young people in the audience, all of our listeners, to make that next career step. We help you through career mentoring, through training, masterclasses, industry visits, and webinars, volunteering, scholarships, and beyond. Wherever you are in your career journey, it really is for us, our job, to help you make that step from wherever you are to wherever you want to be. I am joined today by three of our fantastic speakers and two of my Flight Crowd colleagues who will be moderating the session, who will be presenting. And so please let me know if you can see the slides as well as everybody else in the audience. But before I'm going to steal the spotlight, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague Rogdan to take us through the next couple of slides. But welcome all. It's wonderful to see you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the session.
Thank you, Maria. Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Jordan, and I'm a part of a training team at Flight Crowd. If you could please share with us where you are currently in your career, whether you're a A-level or GCSE student, or you're a recent graduate who are looking for new opportunities, new job opportunities, or whether you're just an early professional and looking to develop your career. So if you could please just let us know in the chat where you are currently, on which stage on your career, and will really help for us to tailor our discussion and for our speakers to understand who are in the room. And also, this webinar will be about exploring the engineering pathways and how these opportunities fit into the real world opportunities in future flight sector. So yeah, if you could please just let us know in the chat and we will review it and we'll understand for us to how we'll be tailoring our discussion. Sorry. In terms of our agenda for this webinar, we will start with an introduction and what we'll be covering today. Introduction of, we're actually be covering essentially the main theme of our webinar will be engineering pathways and how to find and spot these new opportunities, what skills are needed, any advices for everyone who is passionate about the sector. Then we'll jump into the speaker's presentation that will be introducing themselves. We have today Ishan, Emily, and Joe. They'll be introducing their work, their career journey. After that, we'll jump into the moderated discussion. We'll be exploring your questions. We'll ask speakers questions regarding their career, regarding their journey, which advices they can give, and different takeaways from their experience. And after that, finally, we'll wrap up with the question and answers. So please feel free to, during our discussion, to drop your questions in the chat. And after that, we'll pick up your questions and we'll give an answers on it. At this point, I will hand over to my colleague Angel, and she will start introducing our speakers.
Great, thanks, Rogdan. Hi, everyone. My name is Angel. I am the training lead at Flight Crowd. So we will start by introducing our speakers. We have a fantastic panel lined up today. We'll hear from them in the following order. It will be Emily first, then Ishan, and then we'll move on to Joe. So first of all, Emily, I'll just do a short intro, but Emily will be talking more about herself just right after that. So Emily, who's currently working in the space sector. Emily is a former aircraft mechanic student turned rocket propulsion researcher with hands-on experience in electric aircraft systems. She brings a strong and diverse foundation in aviation maintenance alongside a forward-looking focus on next-generation aerospace propulsion, contributing to the future flight technology. Emily, I will hand it over to you and you can speak about yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. My only first question is, okay. Oh, the slides are going. Okay, a bit about me. So my background, when I was 16, I started a BTEC in aeronautical engineering with a company called Flybe, which some of you may have heard of. It was an airline that did go bankrupt over COVID, unfortunately. But yeah, during my time there, I spent half the time doing theory and then half the time doing practical, which I didn't realize at the time turned out to be really beneficial. After that, I stayed in the same building after the airline collapse, and I did a foundation degree in aircraft maintenance engineering. And for my final year, to get it to a BSc, I went to the University of South Wales, where I did aircraft engineering and maintenance systems top up, which looks more at the management side of things. During the year I was there, I joined rocketry and badminton. And when I was at rocketry, I actually ended up being offered a scholarship to study rocket propulsion. My title is the effectiveness of laser ignition in hybrid rocket motors. And that's what I've been doing the last few years. And as you can see the picture in the bottom left, that was one of our launches last year. Next slide, please. Thank you. So this is what my timeline has looked like. 2018 was the start of what was meant to be a 4-year fast track to become an aircraft mechanic. At 2020, everything got flipped upside down. Flybe collapsed, everything became unknown. And it was quite a scary time, really. Everything I thought I knew wasn't happening anymore. And I ended up kind of staying on site because I felt like I didn't want my time to be wasted. And it perhaps ended up wasting more time by stalling. But after that, I ended up doing a 6-month internship with a company called Ampere. They came to Exeter Airport and I met them for one of their test flights. And in the end, I started traveling with them a little bit and was looking after their aircraft. And then they went back to the US. They didn't manage to get UK funding, unfortunately. So that kind of ended that element of, well, what could have been a career. In 2022, began the final year and joined rocketry, which was quite a turning point for my career. And then subsequently started my master's. The next slide, please. Thank you. So currently, I'm a graduate engineer at Newton Launch Systems, and it's in the top left picture. We aid in carrying out static fire testings of rocket engines or rocket motors, depending on the fuel used. I aided in the delivery of Project Dragon's Nest, which was a training course for delegates across Wales, which was really interesting. It was a great time. It was about satellites and space engineering. And hopefully the aim of the company is to increase the testing facilities for space technology in Wales. But my general advice for students is to balance academic and theoretical experience. Academia can only get you so far. And what I've noticed in industry is people want students who know how to put something together. That was the reason I was hired at Newton Launch Systems, was because I didn't need practical training. And it gives such an edge above everyone else. So if you can learn how to integrate those systems and put together a project like in rocketry or in any other society, it really is so advantageous, and I couldn't recommend it enough. And also take every opportunity, even if it's not something you want to do it anyway, because you never know who you'll meet or what you'll learn. And yeah, I think that's everything from my end slide-wise.
Great. Thank you so much, Emily. Great to hear about your journey. I've always heard about squiggly careers. We all have this. It's not a straight journey. You might think you want this, and sometimes you end up in a different area than what you expected. But it all turned out to be brilliant. And also, thank you for the advice at the start. What we will still be asking some more questions later on, but thank you so much for your intro. Ishan, next one is Ishan. I'll just read Ishan's intro. Ishan is an aerospace engineering student at the University of Bristol, currently on a year in industry at GKN Aerospace, working on hydrogen systems to enable hydrogen fueled aircraft for sustainable aviation. So, sharing his passion for aerospace, Ishan supports young people on their journey to industry through mentoring and early career support, and is also mentoring lead at FlightCrowd. So he is part of FlightCrowd, part of my team. I'm really happy to hand it over to Ishan.
Thank you. Yeah. So hi everyone, I'm Ishan. Um, I don't have a very long career journey, but I have done a lot, and I'd love to share what I have done with you. So it's funny that Angel mentioned squiggly career paths, because mine is very straight. Um, I started with my A levels, and I chose them knowing that I'd go to university. So maths and physics, that's what I needed. I chose further maths and chemistry because I thought it would be helpful, and it was. And then when I did go to university, I studied aerospace engineering. I've done that at University of Bristol. I'm currently in my third year now, though I'm on my placement year, and I must say it has been a really good experience for me. I think it's the right decision for me. Studying at Bristol in particular, I think it's been quite an amazing opportunity because I've really enjoyed my course. And for anyone looking at university, I'd definitely recommend looking at the program beforehand to see if you'd actually enjoy it or not. I did with mine, and I think it's amazing. Um, in my second year of uni, I ended up joining Flight Crowd. I did some volunteering with them with their boot camps. I even joined as their mentoring lead, working on their mentoring scheme, which is it's given me so many opportunities I never really thought I had until I actually met Maria and joined the team. And more than that, it's just given me another group of friends, another community to be a part of. Um, you could tell I'm trying to sell Flight Crowd as well with this, but it's just another way for me to engage with my community within aviation and aerospace. Um, then for my third year, which is where I am now, I'm currently doing my internship in hydrogen systems with GKN Aerospace. GKN Aerospace, if you haven't heard of them before, we're a major supplier for companies like Airbus. We work with airframes, engines, but I work in R&D, research and development within hydrogen systems. I'll do so as a systems engineer. But I'll be talking more about that in a moment. So some of the projects I've done while at university, worked on a UAV with, and that was a group project with like 54 students. If you imagine what a group project is like, imagine what it's like with that many students all trying to do, get the best grade or trying to work together. It's a challenge. And then I've also done some rocketry myself, although I didn't win any national awards. It was a good experience, nonetheless. And then I also wanted to mention, um, as a student, I'm able to get free membership with Royal Aeronautical Society, IMechE, Mechanical Engineers, and then also got a discounted membership for Institute of Systems Engineering. And through these, I've been able to attend other events, conferences, which is how I got to meet so many new people. That's how I got to join Flight Crowd. And there's a lot of opportunities to be had by attending events like those and events like these, webinars and community events. But to talk more about my internship, I'm currently working on a program called H2 Flight, What I have learned is people really like to, well, they really like fun names for programs, and they'll squeeze in whatever acronym they can. But H2 Flight, so that is a 2 megawatt hydrogen electric hybrid propulsion system. A bit of a mouthful and a lot of watts, but all it's all there to help us reach sustainable aviation through hydrogen-powered aircraft. As I said, it's hydrogen electric hybrid. So this propulsion system, it will use batteries and hydrogen fuel cells. So a mix of stuff. I thought I'd take a chance to talk about hydrogen in aviation because it's actually quite an exciting space. Some of the novelties and challenges of hydrogen. So liquid hydrogen needs to be stored at 20 Kelvin, which is minus 250 degrees Celsius. I don't know about you, but that's pretty cold. It introduces a lot of new behaviors that we have to consider when we're designing aircraft for this. Fuel, so if you don't know, fuel is currently stored in the wings of an aircraft, um, but we can't do that with hydrogen, which means that the shape of the aircraft might change. But what does that look like? Another interesting avenue to go down. One of the challenges is that there's no hydrogen infrastructure. Um, if an aircraft needs hydrogen for fuel, can you find that at an airport? Not currently, so that's another challenge. And when designing a hydrogen-powered aircraft, it's even harder because they don't exist. So what we're doing is new. Um, that's what makes it exciting, but also challenging. And then my role, I do systems engineering. Uh, For H2 Flight, I model states and modes of operation using something called model-based systems engineering, which is kind of like its own branch of systems. I create models using a language called SysML, which literally stands for Systems Modeling Language. Can't get more straightforward than that. Um, but that's been quite interesting for me to learn. Uh, Systems engineering does cover a much broader scope. It's an um, interdisciplinary um, function. It's a very hard word for me to say, apparently, but it involves thinking about all the different parts of the system. So for me, that's about thinking about the electrical system and the cryogenic systems. Cryogenics also pretty cool, and how they actually fit together. What are the relationships in between, and what does that mean when we're designing an aircraft? And system engineering for me is quite new, uh, but I enjoy it so much. And if it sounds interesting to you, I recommend just having a quick search online and see if it is right for you. So those are my slides. I hope you found my career journey so far interesting, and I'll be answering some questions as well in the panel.
Right, thank you very much, Ishan. It's always great to hear your journey, even if it's straight or squiggly. It's brilliant. Thank you, because especially you have combined technical work with outreach and mentoring, and you're managing all of it perfectly as well. So it really shows different ways you can contribute to the industry. You've also given us some tips as well, but I will pick on your experience later on and ask you some questions. And also, we have seen some questions in the chat for you. We'll be asking that in the panel session. So, moving on, now we have Joe. Joe started his journey in UAVs at the University of Southampton, leading development of avionic systems for various fixed wing UAVs. He then co designed and now patented avionics architecture, which underpinned the autonomy capabilities of the Windracers Ultra. He has held a range of roles with Windracers and is currently head of manufacturing, leading product delivery from the UK factory. Joe, I will hand over to you.
Thank you. Yeah, good evening all. Thanks for having me. We jump straight through to the first slide. Cool. Yeah. So my career, broadly speaking, is based around the Southampton region. So did my undergraduate degree at Southampton University, which was mechanical engineering with acoustics. For those of you who aren't aware, Southampton has one of the best acoustics programs in the world. So I took that opportunity while I was down there. Class size of about 13 people per year. It's quite a good opportunity. That specialism I did because I had a background in music and speaker design, and thought, why not while I was down there. Didn't really have any career plans with that, but it was just world-class teaching, and sort of took the opportunity while I was there to do it. During my undergraduate degree, managed to secure an internship, which then turned into a part-time job from 2015 to 2019 as a researcher. The purpose of that really was to look at flight computer design, avionics design, but very practically based. So working with the established research team there called Soft UAV, who do commercial contracts for people like Airbus, Boeing, Rolls-Royce, all the usual players. During that journey, we got a product pretty close to being commercialized in Spotter, 4-meter fixed-wing UAV. And then that fell through, but what came through very quickly after that was the founders of Windracers, financial founders, approached university, and we effectively spun out the technology we developed into Windracers. It says distributed avionics on the list. That is the avionics company within Windracers, and we ran that as a separate entity for 3 years until it then merged with the wider Windracers group, and we're now the primary flight computer for Windracers. DA was set up with the idea that we would sell flight computers to other companies, and then turns out Windracers got pretty busy, so we stuck around doing that and are now part of that team. From 2022 onwards, I then took up senior program management through the company. So this was looking at some of the funding opportunities the UK government were offering at the time, some of the military funding opportunities, and then some of the opportunities in the US. So I ran an AI research laboratory in Indiana, Purdue University, for a couple of years. And then during a restructuring, took on the head of manufacturing role back in the UK from September of last year, and now run the team over there. And then the image on the screen is the current generation Windracers vehicle. It's bigger than it looks, 10-meter wingspan, 750-kilo platform. Next slide, please. Cool. So what do I do day to day at the moment? So we're looking at the scale-up manufacturing of the platform. So we're looking to move from a modest number to 100 plus per year, which equates to one every 2.5 days, which is quite an interesting stat to get your head around. That's not something an aircraft manufacturer has achieved in the UK since World War II. So it's a real, class-leading opportunity to take part in and lead on. What that looks like practically is a team of 25 people across the chain: procurement, production, quality, planning, and facilities. And it's about growing that business then to meet the demands of the industry. If I start my career journey where I thought I was going to be, which would be working for sort of Red Bull, McLaren, or Mercedes, doing 80-hour weeks and not having much of a social life, it's not what I've ended up doing. Now I'm building aircraft, still working 80-hour weeks and not having much of a social life at the minute, but that's part of a hyper-growth journey, so you sort of got to pick your direction. Wouldn't have ever got into aerospace had it not been for an internship I did in my second year of university, and certainly wasn't a background I had before university, so it's been interesting to see that journey come through. But I've only ever worked at Windracers, so it's been a bit of a single pony so far in my career.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Joe. That was great, especially hearing from your experience, your internship, the impact of your work at Windracers. Now we will be moving on to our panel discussion. Thank you to all our speakers. It's brilliant to hear about all your journeys, and we would now love to hear a bit more and dive a bit deeper into a couple of great topics you have actually touched upon. So I will also open the questions to the participants as well. So please feel free to ask any of your questions in the chat, and we will pick it up during this panel session. So first of all, I will ask a question to Emily. Emily, you've mentioned that you've done an electric aircraft internship a few years ago. in sustainable aviation, and sustainable aviation is something we Flight Crowd is particularly passionate about. So, what are your key takeaways or lessons learned from your experience from the internship that you've done? And on top of that, is there anything that you've learned which you brought into the space industry or space sector that you're currently working in?
I think the thing that applies to both of them that I've noticed is that there's a massive skills gap in electrical engineering. Working with electric aircraft and then taking that through to rocketry and space propulsion, there is a massive need for electrical engineers in particular. But regarding like what I have learned is more so on the infrastructure side. There's so much capability in the UK in terms of personnel, and we can develop all these technologies, but if there's not the infrastructure to actually utilize them, then you're going to cap how far they can actually go.
Right. So yeah, so you might have got like a bit of both. You picked up some of the experience from there and you implemented that are trying to in this sector at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, they're very different sectors. It's been very different experiences. But I think what they ultimately do come down to is the need for more government development now. And, but on a personal level, what I transfer across is more so the practical skills.
Yes.
You can learn the theory on the job, but
Hmm.
the practical base has been a kind of a constant throughout every job.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the case for most of the jobs, I think. When we start a new role, you do learn things in your university degree, but when you start your practical, that's when you actually learn, when you start doing your things in person.
Yeah.
That's why they say like it's good to have some sort of experience in an internship or but yeah, thank you so much. Moving on, we are going to stay in a sustainability question. I just wanted to ask a question to Ishan about hydrogen. You have touched about um, the hydrogen side. Hydrogen is definitely one of the key elements of sustainable aviation, and you may probably also relate to the infrastructure challenges that Emily has mentioned just now. So, what are some of the biggest challenges you see when it comes to adoption of hydrogen in the next 5 to 10 years? Maybe like technical, operational, storage, sustainability, whatever comes to your mind.
Yeah, so like Emily was talking about infrastructure, same problems kind of apply to hydrogen because you need to think about the fueling services to be provided for aircraft, but then also where's that hydrogen come from in the first place? Where is it produced? Where is it stored? And then how does it get to an airport? Should that be where aircraft refill? So yeah, infrastructure, that's one challenge. Um, but the other problem is, for a lot of aerospace products, there's quite a long time till that actually goes to the market.
Yeah.
So for the next 5 to 10 years, we don't know how much well, how far this technology is going to develop and how ready it will be. Of course, we're trying to meet net zero emission targets by 2050. But I think current goals, um, we're looking at 2040 or 2045 for the first generation of hydrogen aircraft. Bit sooner if I can help it, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, definitely. That these are the questions that's in my mind as well. Actually, I'm like, how are they going to store the hydrogen? Where are they going to store it? How safe it's going to be? So we're all waiting for you guys to let us know. And yeah, we're waiting for the 2050, but you are optimistic. We're going to go with 2045, right? Great, brilliant. Next question is to Joe. We talked about a bit of challenges So it's incredible to see what Windracers are doing from the work with the British Antarctic Survey, using your drone for environmental research, to delivering parcels with Royal Mail and humanitarian aid. So, what are some of the biggest wins you achieved and innovations that you and your team built in the past decade since you were founded?
Yeah, sure. So it's very easy to assume that all the innovation has to come from a technical perspective. And actually, we found the vast majority of it's people, processes, and practices that are the innovation piece that drive a lot of this. Yes, the technology is important. Yes, that underpins what we do. Yes, we design it in a way that can be used by these people. But actually, how you operate these things at scale is something that is genuinely difficult and genuinely never been done before. So where there are markets for postal delivery, medical delivery, resupply of key equipment, that's great. That creates an opportunity for us to plug that gap. But then it's about how do we practically do that? What does the infrastructure look like? What do the people look like? What do the processes look like? And you generally don't find that out until you've tried it.
Yeah.
So our first opportunity for that was delivering COVID-19 related articles to the Isle of Wight. Now, what that meant to us was airspace generally, apart from for critical flying and check rides, was closed to the general public. So the regulator was far more likely to allow us a corridor to fly from the south coast to the Isle of Wight. So there's a bit of a positive for us that came out of it. We carried on working, delivering the critical items, but without that bit of luck, as it were, strange thing to say about COVID-19, but without that opening, we wouldn't have been able to trial it. And without that trialing, then we wouldn't learn what the feedback was. So the technical innovations, there's loads of those, but actually the people and the process around that are just as important. That becomes then even more important when you're trying to deliver capabilities in places like Alaska or Madagascar, where the infrastructure just isn't there and everything is 1,000 times more expensive because it's so far away. And that really pressure tests the system. So yeah, I'd say people and the practices they take out of these new technologies are going to be certainly more than half of the challenge.
Brilliant. Yes, yeah, I totally agree with you. We currently have conferences focusing on people in aerospace or people in future flight, because we are the main part of it, and our work is a main part of it. So even if there is an issue with infrastructure, if people is working on it, as you have mentioned, we will have big wins. Question. It's second round going on to Emily. So staying with all the wins and positives that Joe mentioned just now, what are the things that excites you most about the space sector?
Ooh, I think, well, at the moment, it's not a great time for the space sector in terms of, Orbex has just collapsed. But I think Skyrora are making some really good progress. I think that the UK is investing so much now in the space sector. There's the real potential to see, great career through the sector if you're a student. And I think most opportunity now at the university level, a lot of universities now are realizing the potential and are investing in their students. So I think that's a real win.
Yeah, definitely. I have so many of my friends who's really interested in the space industry. Some of our volunteers and team leads at FlyCrowd are part of the space industry as well. So university definitely is very interested or started to involve or bridge the gap between the industry and university and giving them a bit more of a hands-on experience. I totally agree with you about the wins regarding that. So let's go back to the people element. So the future workforce that Joe has touched upon earlier. So I'm gonna ask if Ishan has a little bit of thought about this. So the future workforce that Joe has touched upon, FlightCrowd believe it is a crucial to have skilled and empowered future flight industry if we want to ensure the technology achieves its full potential. So you talked a lot about your model-based system engineering, MBSE, in your bio when you were talking about yourself, and also the so how did you learn all this? Did you learn it in your university, or did you learn it in your job? Or if not, how did you approach doing something completely innovative?
Yeah. So systems engineering for me as a whole, touched on it during second year of uni. Um, Very much tip of the iceberg, I think. Then when I actually got my role with GKN, that was pretty much jump right in, learn as much as you can, and it is quite a steep learning curve.
Mhm.
But I've enjoyed it so much. I know this is probably what I want to do for my career. Um, but I mean, to answer your question, it's something I learned doing my internship. I realise now, the resources are there. Um, say if I was going back to uni, I know where to find it. I know how to learn MBSC or SysML, the modeling language. Um, but I just wasn't aware of it to begin with, and I think that's one of the challenges a lot of people face. Um, it's just knowing where to look.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. So now you know where to look and what to look for. Do you suggest any tips for the students of what do they need to learn? Or it really depends on what industry or what um, type of engineering they're looking for, even if it's in aerospace. So do you have any tips for that?
Yeah. So you need to be able to just find out what career paths are actually out there. Remember, it's not a straight line always. Um, you will find many engineers with different degrees from different backgrounds. A lot of aerospace engineers, well, a lot of engineers working in the aerospace industry came from automotive or manufacturing. So first off, just look around at the different types of careers there are, and if you can, find somebody who's doing that career, whether it's a student who's doing an internship, or you contact someone on LinkedIn and just ask for advice because they'll know best um, what resources to use or where to get started.
Yes, I totally agree with you. That's something that I sometimes do as well when I apply for a job. Just try talk to someone who's currently working and then see how can I prepare better. Or like way before that, if you're interested in a company, as Ishan mentioned, just talk to them and say what do I learn if I were to work in your company 2 years in the line. So yeah, brilliant advice. Thanks, Ishan. Moving on to Joe. Joe, you already mentioned people, so I want to circle back to the workforce and how can individuals pursue a career in aerospace. So you and the team at Windracers are clearly pushing the boundaries of what's possible and how the future flight industry can be used for the benefit of all, which is fantastic to see. So how can young people best position themselves to enter organizations like Windracers? Perhaps in terms of best skills or experience you think that are most valuable?
Yeah, sure. So we spoke a lot about university education so far on this webinar. So that is a way in, definitely a way in. So we tend to recruit for our graduate level roles heavily through universities like Southampton, Bristol, Bath, generally from the south. This is where people are, but there's no reason to be just in that domain. But the part we're looking to grow aggressively within the company is an apprenticeship and manufacturing approach to workforce development. So not just people that have been to university in the classical sense, but also people that have been hands-on with tools from an early age or through apprenticeship schemes locally. It's something that we're actively trying to push at the moment with the local council, and job creation in the area is key in a region where there is a lot of skilled labour, but the industry's somewhat in decline, and we're looking to bring a new entity in there for people to work within. And then the other side of that, we employ a lot of operators, so people that fly the vehicles either at the destinations, at the runways, at the airfields, or remotely.
Mm-hmm.
And there's all different skills required for that. So we found a lot of people who have been through a armed forces route. They're very successful there, so they've had the discipline and the training. Maybe they've done young armed forces cadets, that type of work, or they've been in the armed forces for a career. But equally, people that have just come from a totally different industry and they fancy a change, if they have the right skill set into that environment, they can be very effective. Typically, the environment is tricky, so it's a high stress, high skill environment. We provide a training scheme for those people. But you don't have to be from aerospace to do aerospace as the operational side. And equally, on the apprenticeship side, definitely encourage people to engage with that, because that may be a better path in for certain people than doing a traditional university approach. So Windracers are quite broad in that sense, but there's always going to be a place for university aerospace students to engage as well.
Right, yeah. So you've mentioned apprenticeship, university. So whatever stage you are in, there's always a place for you. So I hope you guys are taking notes of the skills that he's mentioned as well. So talking about the skills and the things that individuals can do out of academia. Ishan, you're balancing volunteering at Flight Crowd and working, and will be returning to university to complete your degree later this year. And Emily, you're balancing academic and theoretical experience. So I've a question to both of you guys. So how are you managing both of this? What does going outside of academia help you again? Perhaps in terms of connections, skills, or anything else. So do you recommend this to the students as well? Who wants to go first?
Do you want to go first?
Sure, why not? So, like going beyond academics, practical experience is very important, and I'm sure Emily will attest to that. So I'll talk a bit more about just meeting and connecting with people. Um, so well, if you go to events like conferences or community events like Flight Crowd holds, just throwing that in there, you'll meet a whole range of people, all from different backgrounds. And it will show you that there are so many different paths you can do, so many different opportunities that are available to you. You just have to go and do them. You just gotta find them and see what works for you. Because really, if you're studying at university like myself, your degree is quite theory heavy. It's all about aircraft design, but I've met people who work in all different areas of engineering, manufacturing, or operations, and that's the side I don't get to see unless I actually go out and meet and talk to these people. So that's why I think it's actually important that you look beyond just studying and making the time to go and do that. But between balancing, the other part of the question, balancing your time with academics, with studying and doing this, you do have to prioritize and focus on what you can do when you need to. It might mean you can't make every event, but go to the ones that are important to you, the ones you're really excited about. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, I totally agree with Ishan. I think I met Ishan through a networking conference in Royal Aeronautical Society, so definitely recommend doing things outside of your university degree. What about you, Emily?
I absolutely agree with everything you said. I think conferences are absolutely where to go. In the second year of my degree, I spent pretty much all the money I earned going to conferences. I saw it as an investment and it paid off. I've had some amazing opportunities through those conferences and through meeting people there. Absolutely prioritize it. In terms of balancing different aspects of academia, that can be really difficult. Luckily, my master's is research, so I have a lot more flexibility. But last year, when I was trying to do the rocketry and my degree, I was working 7 days a week, every hour, 18-hour days for about 6 months. And that's hard and it's draining, but it's a sort of sacrifice you have to make in order to get results early in your career to give you that base to then get a graduate job.
Wow. Wow. I don't know how you did that, but yes, the hard work paid off. I'm glad you're in this stage where you are a bit more relaxed, I hope.
Yes.
Yes, great.
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, I hope you guys took a bit of notes from Ishan and Emily. So I'm gonna stay with Ishan for one more question from the audience. So we had a question from the audience about Royal Aeronautical Society. So can you please share what type of activities have you done with Aeronautical Society through your student membership? Is the question.
Yes. So I first got a membership when I was in sixth form, I want to say. And back then, I grew up in quite a rural area, away from the entire industry, which was amazing. Um, but through Royal Aeros, I had access to the Aerospace magazine, which I thought was just brilliant, and quite enjoyed reading that.
Yeah.
The first event I actually went to was the careers fair, and I went to them year on, well, for a couple of years, and that was quite a good experience. And then I actually decided to go to a conference. That's where I met Angel, that's where I met Maria, and given me really good opportunities, like I said before. Um, and then aside from the conferences, you've also got lectures. Uh, RAS, they have local branches. My local branch in Bristol, they have sometimes speakers um, from, well, could be from anywhere really. And that's another way they can actually learn more about the industry and actually speak to someone who's working in the industry as well. Um, what else can I say? Oh, what I really like particularly about the Royal Aeronautical Society and their events and the people there is that it's not just engineers. I know that might be a hot take on a engineering careers pathway webinar, but it's quite interesting to talk to pilots or um, other aviation enthusiasts about what they do and why they're there. It gives you a different perspective on the industry, because we all are working in one industry in the end. So, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
you can get quite a lot done.
No, you do, you do. You do get a lot done when you're part of an organization like this, Flight Crowd or Royal Aeronautical Society. For students, it's a free membership for Royal Aeronautical Society. So Emily has mentioned conferences are quite expensive. So they do give student free passes for a few students. Flight Crowd, when you are a member, if you are a member at Flight Crowd, we do give discounts for the conferences if you're not a student. If you're just member, if you're a graduate. So there are very good perks about having good memberships in different organizations and also having connections. Another question from the panel we've got is anyone from the panel can answer. We also have another question, which is so going to university in aeromechanical engineering or a modern internship at an aircraft maintenance company college. They say they need a guidance as a student taking a gap year. So they're asking apprenticeship or university. Do you guys have any preferences or thoughts about that?
I have a few. If you do an apprenticeship, particularly a more practical based one, you will have a better skill set as a base, in my opinion, but you're very much going to be funneled into the mechanic job role. I have worked very hard to try and get away from being stereotyped as a mechanic. And even now, it's still sometimes people look down on me for my experience because I didn't do the traditional university way. But if you do the traditional university way, there's going to be 100 other people in the same room as you, doing the same course as you. You need to find something that makes you different. And that's why I suggest the societies. There's a trade off to each one, but you have to make it your own experience, I think, to be successful in either one.
Wow, I love that. I love that advice. Any of the other panelists would like to share?
Yeah, sure. So I think there's from what I've seen in the people we employ and the people we grow through the business, there's kind of two different camps here, where there's people that will do the apprenticeship and they quite enjoy the work in that domain, and they'll stay through that and have a very successful career doing that, working through management, working through managing larger teams, doing a similar activity. And they also find people there that have skills that they want to develop, and it's important that you get in the company that can develop those skills with you and grow you into areas that you wouldn't have previously otherwise maybe even knew existed when you started the apprenticeship or even the degree. So there's people within Windracers who we will foster up through the business, and they will become in effect the same level as an engineer who's been to university, and sometimes even faster. Right? They've done an apprenticeship and they've not had the 4-year course and then a bit of specialism, a bit of working that out. That can be a quicker route to achieve the same goal than going through the university way. I say it's really sort of up to the individual and what they prefer. The university piece for me, I think, brought a lot of life skills as well as just the technical skills. So the aspects of living away from home, having to fend for yourself, and managing the time aspects of the degree. For me, an engineering degree is just a time management activity 9 times out of 10. Yes, there's technical input in there, but actually what they really teach you is how to manage a 40-hour workload week from being 18 as you first get there. That happens the same for the apprentices. They have to do the same level of work management, perhaps with a bit more support the business brings than if you were sort of a solo graduate doing that. But both routes are perfectly acceptable and perfectly fine. As I say, you may find that the path progression through apprenticeships is quicker than the path through university, and you may reach the point of sort of realization faster. But for us as a business, it's really important we have both. If you have purely engineers, it becomes very academic very quickly. If you have purely more hands-on people, it becomes less sort of growth oriented and more doing what we're doing right now. So the balance of that within the function is really important for us. So there is no one path. I think it's down to the skill sets you've got and what you want to take from it.
Okay, so there's no one path, but it's a bit quicker if you choose apprenticeship.
It could be, yeah. It really depends on. I've also had apprenticeships that we worked with in the US, and the A&P was a good several-year course. So
Right.
I'm not saying that's definitely, but for us, you may find you get to a position that you're seeing more positive enjoyment from quicker. But yeah, it really depends.
Right. Staying with Joe, we have another question. What is the design philosophy behind Windracers aircraft Mk2, since it is very different, unconventional than existing UAVs in the market?
Yeah, no, it is. It is. So there's several things in the design philosophy that we did the fundamental engineering for. The big one there is mass redundancy. So you'll see the aircraft has 2 engines. It's an obvious one. But if you look closely at the control surfaces, the trailing edge of the wings or the V-tail, there are multiple control surfaces there. The purpose of that is you can then use lower cost components, but more of them, to achieve a level of reliability akin to the sort of manned aviation space. The problem we were trying to solve from day one was low cost delivery of goods. And that was one of the ways we did that, by using cheaper components, but more of them, to achieve a level of redundancy. Then on the avionics side of the fence, there was a product, as you mentioned at the start, Angel, the maskless flight control, the patented architecture that backs up all of that redundancy. So we have a novel flight architecture for the vehicle, and it allows us then to control these many surfaces in a way that gives us a level of robustness that you wouldn't get from a traditional UAV. that's been really important to us because that's allowed us to fly in areas in the UK that others haven't been able to, and do missions that others haven't been able to. So that's a real sort of USP of the business, and something that we don't take for granted, but now it's part of the sort of the core philosophy of what we do.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. We are getting more questions at the moment. Thank you so much, guys, for contributing. So another question is about an apprenticeship or internship related, or the pathways. So someone said, I didn't get the chance to get an internship or a placement in aviation. So what other paths do you recommend to gain in experience and potentially start the aviation career path? Because I'm a recent graduate with minimal industrial experience and I'm unable to take placements and or internship. Some internships require you to be a student. So this is also similar to another question we got. Somebody who's an aircraft maintenance college student who's looking for an apprenticeship with the end goal of becoming a licensed aircraft engineer. So they know they would struggle with uni. So would you have any recommendations of what to do? They've been applying for so many apprenticeships already and have lots of experience, but not getting any far. So, what can you recommend to those individuals? Any of you guys can pick this up, or all of you guys can do that.
I can pick up the second one. So, if you're looking to become a licensed aircraft mechanic, you're going to have to sit the 13 EASA modules. As someone that has been taught them, they're not that easy. And in my opinion, it's much easier to study them at university than by yourself. At university, they are drilled into you. It becomes routine. It's hard, but I think your likelihood of passing is much more likely, because the pass mark is 70%. And then, as well as that, they teach you to their specifications. Each different institution has their own exam. They know what they teach to teach you to pass. If you're just going in as someone external, you have no idea the topics that they might give in the exam, you're automatically at a disadvantage. So while university might be hard for you, I think it might not be as bad as you might expect, and it's also a lot cheaper.
Right. Does anybody else want to add any of your tips for the first question, maybe? It's really hard out here to get a job internship. So is any tips for recent graduates or who wants to look for a job?
If you can afford to, then volunteering is a really good way, I think. I've known a few people that have volunteered at aircraft museums, and that's really helped them get internships and jobs. So if you can, that's what I would recommend.
Brilliant.
I'd like to just talk about the application side of things because while I was applying for my placement, I definitely went through that process, and it's long and it's hard and uncomfortable. And then even during my internship, I've had the opportunity to help with the recruiting of the next intake of interns. So I've kind of been able to see both sides of recruitment for early careers. And what I see a lot, or saw a lot, is that there are so many good candidates out there, but not all of them know how to advertise themselves properly with a CV and a cover letter, or how to conduct themselves in a video interview because companies are using them more and more now. I know when I'm going to be applying for graduate roles, I'm just going to practice video questions as much as I can, just because I know it's something I struggle with. But it's learning how to go through that process, which is quite important. And there are steps you can take now to prepare for that. Getting your CV into the best format you can, knowing how to write a cover letter, and again, answering interview questions. That's something I think all young people should be focusing on, because no one else is actually going to teach you that. One of the other problems, use your career service if you have access to them. I know I had that at uni. But again, it's you that needs to take that extra steps to get better at applications.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Ishan. It's really hard. It's very uncomfortable, but we just gotta power through, and we will get there. And we're all there to help you guys. Flight Crowd is there, so just reach out to us if you need any sort of help with your CV, any advice for your interviews, anything like that. Just reach out to us. We'll be there to guide you through as well. Um, uh, we are actually over time now. Thank you so much for all our panelists. This actually have been incredible conversation, good advice, great to hear about your journeys. So I will now hand over to Rokdan to wrap up. Thank you.
Yeah. It's a question for the audience. If you could please share in the chat. We wish to answer for all of your questions, but unfortunately we got a bit over time. But finally, if you could just share quick things, what you learned or explored today, and what's your main takeaway. To our speakers, thank you very much for taking time with us today and sharing your career journeys, your advices, your insights. We believe that was really incredibly valuable. And also, of course, thank you very much for all who joined us today. We hope this session was really useful and insightful for us. Please keep eye on our upcoming events, upcoming webinar series, and others as well. You can follow this through our WhatsApp community. You can join to it, as you can see on the QR code left-hand side, or as well become a member on another QR code, which is on the right corner. Thank you very much again, everybody, and have a great evening.
Hi guys, just sorry, very quickly from me. Thank you so much to all our speakers, to our team, Angel and Roxanne, Emily, Joe, Ishan, everybody here, and all our all our participants. It's been a brilliant webinar and truly learned so much. Thank you all. I can see there's a few other conversations, few other questions in the chat. I suggest if we take them back into our WhatsApp community and continue talking about it, you can see the QR code as well. Please stay in touch, and we really hope that you've learned a lot of new things today, but more than anything that there is no right or wrong, and in terms of your career decisions, in terms of the career path, and absolutely please keep exploring, keep finding new and exciting opportunities, and hopefully Flight Crowd and our community and our colleagues and partners are here to help you on that journey. So reach out, don't be a stranger, but we're all going through the same struggles, but we'll get there all together. So thank you all. Take care of yourself, and let's keep the conversation going. And yeah, see you all soon. Thanks.